the best player at your club that you support? Well, we're going to go through every Premier League team and pick one, aren't we, Dad?
You started quickly. I'm still having my brew.
It's only yours.
This is a proper video. We're going to talk about some superb players, some of the best players in the world.
But for the second channel, I want a new light target. What are you going for today, Dad?
8,000.
8,001.
Let's go in alphabetical order. It has to be Arsenal, Theo. One of the easiest picks of the day, Bukayo Saka. He's been brilliant. 2 goals and 7 assists. And did you see how he played against Southampton, against Leicester, against the lesser teams? He destroys them.
Yeah, he does. He's got confidence. The Emirates has been rocking so far this season. The stat that really shocks me, and I didn't realise, is 7 assists.
Yes.
I mean, you can't stop him when he's on the ball. So creative. If he's not scoring, he's setting up Havertz or Martinelli or Trossard. His ability to understand where his teammates are going to be on the attack, it's unbelievable. It's stuff that you work on the training ground. He is the face of Arsenal Football Club this year, and he's running the show, and that's why they're in a title race.
Aston Villa now, and I've gone for a bit of Colombian Theo. Now, this is a man who's not played a single game yet, but he scored 4 goals. He's getting a goal every 46 minutes, and the goals that John Duran has scored have translated into 6 points. Take those points away. Villa are 13th, I think.
I just don't understand how you pick the best player as someone who's not even the first 11. You could have gone with Emi Martinez, who's had some clutch saves.
If I'd gone for anyone else, it would have been Yuri Tielemans.
And that's my pick.
Is it? Yeah, good.
The Belgian midfielder. And look, he's played all of the 7 games. He's pivotal to Unai Emery's setup. Hard-working midfielder. He's created 5 big chances from a very deep role. 2 actual assists as well. Aston Villa fans understand what he does every game to add to the team.
AFC Bournemouth now, and it has to be Antoine Semenyo, the Ghanaian international, Theo. This season, 3 goals and 1 assist. He's kind of filled that gap left by Dominic Solanke, hasn't he?
I'm going to go different here for Bournemouth. I think, as we say, best player, there's a lot of different lads that deserve a mention. And I'm going to go for one guy who I didn't know was cut for the Premier League. And he clearly is. It's the midfielder, Lewis Cook. He's played every minute for the Cherries this year. He even got some important goals, especially that header away at Everton where they made the comeback. He's got 2 assists too, hard-working. I think he deserves to be given that best player award so far.
Brentford now, and I've gone with Brian Mbeumo, Theo. I've gone with stats, 7 games, 6 goals, and he's also created 5 big chances. And we talked about that high press, didn't we, Theo? How exciting Brentford are. They come forward from the start, and Mbeumo has really reaped the benefits.
Yeah, they score a lot and they concede a lot. Thomas Frank has got them playing hoofball in the first few minutes, and it seems to be getting them a lot of goals. But I agree with you, Dad. Brian Mbeumo has to be the best player so far. When we're talking about Brentford and 7 games in, 6 games in, actually, he started. He's got 7 goals. It's stupid. It's Ivan Toney numbers, and he's off to Saudi, and Mbeumo is clearly filling the boots.
Brighton and Hove Albion now. I've picked a guy who's nearly as old as I am, Theo. Do not comment, please. He's got 4 goals and 1 assist. He used to play for Arsenal and Man United. Danny Welbeck, Theo, has been superb.
It's the easy pick, but also let's just give him respect.
Yes.
Which Premier League team at a quality of Brighton, a team right up there in the Premier League, would give the striker to a 33-year-old man who a lot of people would have written off by now?
Yes.
And he's banged in 5 goal contributions in 7 games. It's stupid numbers, and a couple of those have been clutch goals as well, late on to score the winner, one of them being recently against Tottenham, earlier on in the season against Man United. Those are key moments, Dad. How can we look past that? Correct. Yes, they have a lot of players like Baleba in midfield who's really improved this season. I can't wait to see more of him under Hazard's tactics, but number 1 for me has got to be Welbeck. Let's give him the credit.
My cousin is a Brighton fan, and straight away he said Baleba, but I've just gone with the stats on this one. Chelsea now, well, this is very, very easy, isn't it? Theo, 7 games, 6 goals, 5 assists, and in 2 of those 7 games, Cole Palmer, the brilliant Cole Palmer, has got 4 goal contributions.
Do you know what? It's actually a little bit sad that we can't give respect to the other players in the Chelsea team this season, because they've been very good too. Robert Sanchez has cemented the goalkeeper role. Madueke looks a different player. I think, honestly, this season, the midfield, Caicedo, Enzo, there's a lot better of an understanding in front of them as well. They've got a lot of quality around that squad. It's actually such a big squad, it's hard to get the 11, but it seems like they know what they're doing, finally. So Maresca, credit to you, but the number 1 player for sure has to be Palmer.
I mean, Cole Palmer just doesn't get frightened, does he?
No.
He just plays like he's kicking around age 11 in the park. Crystal Palace have only conceded 10 goals this season. I've gone defensive here. Mark Guehi, Theo. He's a centre-back. He even got a goal. But most importantly, what he does is the simple things. He wins a lot of his duels. He makes those clearances. He really doesn't make errors at the moment.
Last season, it would have been easy to say Mateta or Eze or Elise.
Yes.
But one of them has left at Bayern, and the other 2 don't seem to be firing as well. And maybe that's a lack of connection in the midfield, or there's clearly errors within the tactics because people are compromising when they play Crystal Palace. They are getting 3 points. So therefore, Dad, they kept Mark Guehi. We know his qualities.
Yeah.
He's an England international as well. The ground duels this season, 84% won. Aerial duels, 66% won.
Incredible.
It's a very good ratio considering they're under the cosh most weeks because Palace haven't been as good. So we agree on Guehi.
Everton, now we talked about how they made a terrible start, but they're coming back nicely. And the man behind that for me, Theo, we saw this in the Crystal Palace game.
We did.
He got 2 goals, is Dwight McNeil.
Interesting.
This is a really underrated player. 3 goals and 2 assists this season. But I think in terms of big chances, in terms of creativity, I think it's about 7 big chances created.
A couple of weeks ago, I'd probably have said no one after how bad their form was. But
Yes.
Dwight McNeil seems to have plucked out a brace and a couple other moments with a goal and assist. Overall, he's now got 5 goal contributions and he's going out for a Toby Carvery with my mate.
Yeah, that's so
I love
funny.
that. That's how you celebrate, you know? He's a typical Northern lad. He's a great winger. He gets the job done. He's cracked on with it and he saved Everton some very poor form. They'll be right down there. So I agree with you.
But, you know, the goals he's getting, Theo, they're not tap-ins. His XG this season is 0.57.
Yeah.
So by the stats, he should have scored half a goal. He's scored 3. So they are good goals. They are goals that he shouldn't be scoring. Fulham Football Club have been very defensively solid this season, only conceded 8 goals. Now, what I want you to do is forget the last game that Fulham lost 3-2, because my pick, didn't play very well in that game. But Anthony Robinson, Theo, he's a left-back. He used to play for Bolton and Wigan, but we'll forget about that. He's very good on the ball, but he also puts in a surprisingly large number of tackles. And I think the duels that he wins, 59%.
Do you think Fulham fans are going to agree with you?
No, I don't. And partly, I just want to mention Bolton Wanderers in every video.
For me, Fulham overall, there's a lot of options that you could say Sasha Lukic has done well to fill in Palhinha's boots because they didn't replace him. They took the money. They didn't directly bring him in. Raul Jimenez deserves a shout. He's been on a goal-scoring run, keeping Rodrigo Muniz out of the team, which is really interesting. After all of that, I still have to go back to the ex-Man United man, probably the biggest name and most expensive player in their squad. But when you watch him on the pitch, you know he's got something special. The Whites fans will agree with me that Andreas Pereira has been the best player so far this season. He's played all 7 games, and he averages 3.3 key passes per game.
Ipswich Town, I had to ask an Ipswich fan. He said Liam Delap, and I totally agree, Theo.
Yeah.
He scored 4 goals this season. And that game against Aston Villa, where he got a brace, and by the way, he's got 2 points for his team this season, and that could be invaluable. But that Villa game, he was so confident, so strong, an amazing young player.
Imagine getting a chance in the Prem. My ticker would be dodgy. To know that you got such a big moment in your career and you've got to smash it. He's gone up there in a team that's going to get less attacks than everybody else, and already he's got 4 goals. This is a genius signing, and he is making the most of it. So well done Ipswich, and well done Liam Delap.
Leicester City now, and it simply has to be the goalkeeper, Mads Hermansen, Theo. Now, this was a goalkeeper who played against Arsenal. They lost 4-2, so he conceded 4.
Yeah.
His SofaScore rating was 9.7. Why? Because he made 13 saves. Even Arsenal fans were saying, this is a good keeper.
I mentioned him in the previous video.
You did.
The 24-year-old Dane. Look, I didn't know about him before this season,
Yeah.
and he's taken it by the scruff of the neck. You know, when you're a goalkeeper and you're Leicester City in the Prem this year, you're going to be facing a lot of shots. So much so that it's 4.7 saves per game. To have a 73% save percentage is very solid. 27 saves from inside the box so far this season. That's insane. 27. And because of his age and how long goalies can go on for, he could be a club hero.
Liverpool now, and I know I'm going to pronounce this wrong, Theo, but give it a go. Ryan Gravenberch.
Wow, why have you picked him out of interest?
Because this is an interesting one. It's so easy to go for, let's say, Mo Salah, Luis Diaz, that brilliant forward line that we talk about every week, Theo. But if you're playing in that front 3, you need a solid 3 behind you. You need a solid 4 behind that if you're playing 4-3-3. And with Liverpool, for so long, we've talked about the Achilles heel of the midfield. Suddenly, this guy comes in, and every single week, he plays good football. He gets a 7+ rating. He does the simple things well.
Yeah.
He passes well. He makes the clearances. All the things that you do as a central midfielder, he does well.
Onslaught bringing the best out of him.
Yeah.
But I also think he's bringing the best out of a certain Colombian on the wing, who's getting almost as good stats this season as Mo Salah. That is the man that I met at Colombia, Spain last season. Really nice guy too, Luis Diaz. His dad is nuts, but he'll be very happy that he's doing well so far this season. I would go as far as saying he's the best player.
Manchester City, it has to be for me, Erling Haaland. Some people will disagree there, but 7 games, 10 goals, and his XG is 6.5, so 3.5 of those goals he shouldn't have got. He simply does what he should do. Now, he's getting 3.3 shots on goal per game, which is incredible for the Premier League.
Absolutely, and a lot of those goes in. I think he's the only player that's got double-figure goals so far this season. Erling Haaland's stats are just as good. The Norwegian is not distracted, and I think a key reason for that is because during pre-season there was no Euros for him. He could sit on the couch and chill out and train and work hard and do all the crazy things like he does. Erling Haaland by far, arguably up there. Cole Palmer, Erling Haaland this season as their best. It's hard to beat those two in terms of numbers. It makes this choice easy.
Manchester United, I've gone with a player who's getting dog's load of abuse last season, but this season, Andre Onana, Theo.
Right.
He saved a penalty, he's made lots of good saves. I can't think of a single high-profile error that he's made. He's been absolutely consistent week in, week out, when a lot of other players certainly haven't.
Yeah, he's facing a lot more shots this year because the defence is woeful. They've even got Johnny Evans in for the last few games. They've got injury crisis. It seems like United can never have a normal season. But for Man United, for me, I've gone with Diogo Dalot. Yeah. He's a man that's cemented that left-back role since the start of the season. He always gives it everything. I feel like he's one of the only players with Andre Onana that actually has a bit of consistency to an extent.
Yeah.
Not an easy pick for Man United this,
no,
because saying best, and no one's really been that good.
Newcastle United now, and I'm going to stick with the goalkeepers union and go Nick Pope, age 32, Theo, because Newcastle, I think they're conceding about a goal a game this season, which ain't too bad. Nick Pope is making 4.4 saves every 90 minutes.
Brilliant.
That's an awful lot.
Yeah, and at 32 to still be smashing it, it shows you that Newcastle believe in him. And for me, I'm going to have to go straight to Bruno Guimaraes, the Brazilian midfielder. He's just so consistent. And if you ask the Geordies, who's the man that shows us a little bit of quality in the midfield, can win a foul, be the creator and do it all himself, there's so much to his game that you can't just see. You have to watch him every week. He is the best player so far this season. Alexander Isak's been injured. Trippier's been in and out. So it's made my choice easy.
Nottingham Forest, it has to be Nikola Milenkovic, Theo, the big Serb. Now, there's only one team in the Premier League that's conceded less goals than Forest, and that's Liverpool. So I had to go with a defender, and this guy is massive. He's fearsome. He's winning 3/4 of all his duels on the ground and in the air. Wonderful, wonderful player.
I completely agree that Forest have one of the best defensive records this year and away records, so they're doing something right under their gaffer. And truthfully, I'm going to have to go with a goalkeeper that I never knew before this year, Matt Sells. What a player from Belgium. I think he signed from somewhere like Anderlecht. Not much was expected of him. He was in and out the team fighting for his place. It's one of those really enjoyable stories that you hear in football that don't come around so often. He took his chance. He made loads of saves. I think I can give you loads of examples, but Chelsea away, just watch the highlights again. Matt Sells kept them in it.
Southampton now, this is a tough one, but I'm just going to stick with the goalkeepers union and say Aaron Ramsdale. Because do you know what, Theo?
They've been rubbish.
I think there was one error led to a shot, but apart from that, he's made 4.4 saves per game. He's done his best. He hasn't been bad.
Take a guess on my pick.
I reckon you've gone for nobody.
Correct. No one.
Yeah.
Move on. Southampton have been awful. Under Russell Martin this year, there's been no positives. Not one player should look at themselves and think, I've been the best. Nobody.
Tottenham Hotspur have had a funny old season, brilliant on their day and really poor on another day. But one guy who's caught the eye, Theo, who could be a spectacular player going forward, is Brennan Johnson. Now, he's got 3 goals in the Premier League, but I've looked beyond the Premier League. His last 7 games, including for Wales, he scored 7 goals. He scored in all 7 of those games. He's popping up into the right place and just putting the ball in the net.
I think you can't look further than Mickey van der Ven. He's a centre-back that's adapting what that role is all about. He's got 2 assists so far this season, the Dutchman. He's rapid. Even at the North London Derby, where a lot of the Spurs team weren't very good, he was getting stuck in, last-ditch tackles, giving everything. They play a very high line under Ange, and it's perfect for his style of play.
West Ham United now a very tough pick this, because they've had a poor season. And the man I'm going to pick has not had a great season. 2 goals, 2 assists. But there was one super important game against Ipswich. They had to win it. They had to win it well. They had to win it before the international break. And the inspiration for that victory, Jared Bowen.
It was a great goal. And actually, I think in that final match, Mo Kudus got one, Antonio, Bowen, the whole front 4. One player who didn't score but had a good performance and then went to Czechia and got a goal in the international break recently, Thomas Souček. That's a man that even through the bad performances under Lopetegui, he was giving it everything, wasn't he, Dad?
You've gone for him?
Souček. I have, yeah. Of course I have. He's the one that, you know, I think he's got a couple important goals when they're going through difficult times. I've just come back from Prague. if I don't pick one Czechia lad in this video, I don't think I'll ever be welcome again.
Wolverhampton Wanderers is the final team, and this is another hard one. It's another time when you could say nobody, but there's one player who's got 3 goals, so I've picked him, and that's Mateus Cunha. But I will say that in those 3 games where he scored, they conceded 14.
Smashed.
So you know those games of football when you're 5-0 down, you score a late consolation, you don't know whether you should be celebrating.
Yeah.
It's kind of that situation.
I was very close to going no one as well, but to have 3 goals in a very terrible season, he deserves a little bit of respect.
He does.
Mateus Cunha's kept up his level of form. Blanky Chan hasn't. He's barely getting in the team. Realistically, they need to work out midfield and defence connection. Let's hope they figure it out.
You know what? All that talking has made me hungry for a brew.
Let me know in the comments, who is your best player? Because we're just 2 mugs. So let's hear it down there. Have a good week. Bye-bye.